Joining with me today is Dorky Dad, and we're going to talk about the ORCHIS raid, Omega difficulty 3. How's it going, my guy?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and I just want to get this out of the way. Tech is miserable. The rest of it seems like we can make it work, right? For now. And I'm going to guess that we're going to get a tech team, the ORCHIS team, sooner than later, and then later on we're going to get the Mystic team, probably closer to Halloween. That would just make sense, like thematically, right, that they would do it around, and that's been rumored by multiple people. So we're going to talk about this, and I just want to say what you said. I feel like this is the first version of it, and we're going to play it, and then they're going to give us a harder version, because they did that with Incursion, right?
Yes, so Incursion 2, we all figured out, hey, we can go in here. We got through the mutant section using, like, I believe it was Apocalypse, and some people threw an M in at some points. And then we got to skill, and it was like, oh, if we sub in Captain Sam, that we can all of a sudden we can get through the skill section. And so we quickly found ways to beat the Incursion raid. And then they're like, psych, that was actually the first strike. Take backsies. Here's a new one with 200% resist.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right, so let's just go through some of the nodes. There's two different lanes. This is the bottom lane, then up here is the top lane. You can see that I've went through it. And in general, it felt like timeout was an issue, but oftentimes on skill, it felt like if I was able to sim it, my count, I didn't have the log-on streak, so I couldn't sim it. And so I had to play it manually, and I would time out. The other thing, too, is the test server. Everything is at gear tier 18, level 100, all the T4s, blue ISO 5, but it's 7.7. And I know not everybody, but a lot of people are going to be taking these teams probably up to purple ISO for the Odin. A lot of people took them in for DD7 so they're at gear tier 19. And a lot of people, now that they're farmable, they have them at 7 yellows, which means they're getting the diamonds, and 2 diamonds are pretty common. So I think I was playing this with like a 2.8 million Spider Society, and my Spider Society is 3.5. I'm very sure that a chunky Spider Society can just run through this and probably sim it.
Yeah, 100%. We should make it very clear. Like, we're talking difficulty 3 now. We're not talking base from the second 1, 2. This is 3, the highest one they have. And the Spider Society team at 7 yellow, 7 red, without Crimson Gear, it felt unkillable.
Yes.
Like, you could time out.
You could time out.
Overthinking it, but sim, done.
Yeah, and difficulty 2 in general seemed manageable overall with the 7, what I just described, 7.7 gear tier 18, level 100, blue ISO 5. Like, it was fine. Look, difficulty 3, specifically tech, is a total mess. I mean, I was playing it and recorded, and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore. And, and I know that I needed experience. But then you told me what team worked, and I loaded it in, and it just got exploded. And I was like, well, if you leave it in a bad place, it's not going to be a good time. So let's go to tech. Miserable, right?
Yeah, so I was always curious, how are they going to counter Pegasus? Like, they gave Pegasus 75% speed bar on spawn.
Oh, I know how they're going to do it. Holy moly. Cheater right here. North Star. He ruined. Yeah, the first node and the second node, he ruins it. And you cannot, on the second node, you cannot get to him because of the Sasquatch. You can't get to him. It's a mess. And well, go ahead and explain why. I've got the kit showed up here. But anyways, say why.
Yeah, North Star is like, hey, by the way, no, you don't get your speed bar. Also, I have speed stat increase. I'm going to flip all your stuff. Now you have slow as well. And so you don't get the speed bar. He flips all of your buffs, puts slow on you. The enemy team gets to run over you. But that's just the Pegasus problem, which is kind of interesting, right? They definitely went in to designing these raids thinking, how do I counter Pegasus and how do I counter Bifrost?
Well, and the reason why this hard counters Pegasus is Ironheart gives them turn meter when they drop in, and then you usually go immediately into a dark hawk. Dark hawk? I gotta be careful when I say that word.
Yeah,
Dark
me too.
hawk dark hawk. Anyways, yeah, you go in, so you do the dark hawk, which reduces speed bar and gives turn meter based on the number, right? It's a good thing. That does not happen when there's North Star. And so the team, you know, and what you're going to talk about is like other characters are going to be better than Pegasus if they can't do this. While North Star is on the board, you might as well not use Pegasus. And so tell me what you did, and I'm going to tell you I did what you did and it didn't work. But what we're going to probably have to do, and then I'll give you what my final thoughts on this. Go. So tell us what you told me.
So I, like you, started with Pegasus difficulty 3. This is impossible. This is not fun. I'm over it.
Yep.
And then I was talking with Benny Westside. He was telling me he was playing around with some plug and play characters. He brought up Green Goblin, Doc. I was like, hey, let me play with that. So I went in with full Sinister 6. And what ended up happening is Mysterio was just like this unsung hero. Now you have it right now with Nightcrawler on spawn on this node. But on the first node, when you go in, because you don't have, well, I didn't bring Slayer, so I didn't have offense up for the first node. What ends up happening is you just kind of survive all the hits. You get to flip all the debuffs with Doc Ock, and then Mysterio controls the whole team, and you just get to kind of rebalance yourself, take your time, blast through the nodes. And again, I want to make it very clear. This team that you're using right now, this is 7 red, 7 yellow. Right. With teal gear, and you don't have your ultimate on spawn here, which is super unfortunate, right?
Well, I had Weaver charges, so that's the other problem is I left it with Weaver charges, and look at that, he's already deleted. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is you control the enemy forever, and took a long time to kill the enemies. I believe I was testing on difficulty 1. But that was like Green Goblin, 7 red, 7 yellow, no Crimson gear, but like everyone and their mom is bringing Green Goblin to Dark Dimension 7 for that Mephisto unlock, right? Like it's like him and Old Man Logan are the 2 characters giving you the most benefit outside of that mode. So I feel like the Sinister 6 team is going to hold the fort down for the tech section until we get the ORCHIS. And then once we get that, I think the raid is just blown open. Yeah. The problem is the node you're on right now, it's hard to go from node 1 of tech to node 2 with your cooldowns up, and you don't need your cooldowns up when you head into node number 3.
So I'm just going to put this out here. This is the node that your alliance is going to go down the middle. Everybody's going to be in the same lane, and it's going to be a group project. This is designed to be ridiculously hard until the next the raid tech team, which is ORCHIS, and I think that's coming very soon. I mean, we got in-game Thanos, and they have not announced what the next team. I don't know, but it would not surprise me if that's the next thing is the ORCHIS, right? I mean, are you thinking the same thing I am?
I think they all but confirmed it. When we had the ORCHIS blog come, they said, hey, by the way, details for the ORCHIS team in the next blog, and then Night Stalkers are like, okay, you're going to wait for the Night Stalkers. So I think you're right. I think ORCHIS is literally the next patch.
So I just want to put this out here on difficulty 3 Omega, which is the hard version of this. This is not going to be fun. This is not going to be fun. I was playing this before I talked to you, and I was planning on doing a whole run through, and I was just refreshing, and I was like, I don't want to play this. I'm done. No. I hate this. It was horrible, specifically not being able to get to the North Star, Sasquatch just holding it down and healing and doing dumb stuff, and then Weaver putting up charges, not being able to miss everything, and then Weaver does permakill, so you can't even revive. You know, it was ugly. So node 2, it's node 2 is the problem. If you leave node 2 in a bad spot, holy crap, it's a gong show. So node 1, I was able to get through North Star, and when North Star is gone, Pegasus can do their thing, and they win. But on node 2, it wasn't happening. It was a bad time. So let's go to the next node, and I'm going to let this load up, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and take a look at the next nodes, and we'll talk about that. What do we got next? Let's see. Let me zoom out so we can see it a little bit better. So that was tech, and then the next one is going to be bio. Now, I did not test bio. You're going to need Super Scroll, right?
Yeah, Super Scroll over Venom's the play. I tried Gore over Venom He's not Hive Mind, so he's not getting that speed up on spawn. He's not doing enough, even with the speed bar from Carnage. Skrull comes in, and Skrull, you just don't really use his cooldowns. Like, you used his first special, and then after that, you can just kind of wait on it, and you use his ultimate just on the boss node. But what Skrull is doing, particularly on that second node, if you want to highlight that one, there's going to be Bifrost members there. So what would happen with your Hive Mind team is Team Loki is going to activate Safeguard on his allies when he sees Void Knight going, because Void Knight's a cosmic hero, right? But Skrull goes before Void Knight. Skrull can either rewind an ability block Vol, or put a disrupt on Vol, or at least flip things on Vol, and then your Hive Mind team can still just blow them up. And yeah, it's just Skrull's way to go. Now, this is great for, you know, big boy accounts like ours that had the temerity to already put red stars on Skrull, because it's going to be super easy for us with Crimson gear. But for people that haven't put the red stars on him yet, I'm curious how that's going to line up at the higher difficulties.
And also, word of caution, Hive Mind is very power dependent, and having the ability to drop the character into red to trigger Carnage's passive. If you do not do that, they do not start. And so you have to have some chunk to get it to go, and if you don't get it to go, they don't go, right? Well, that's not a sentence, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? It just
it made perfect sense.
Yeah, you need to have like a strong. I mean, and that's why when we were when it was symbiotes, right? They fell off really fast. If they can't, and same thing. Unfortunately, is going to happen to Hive Mind at some point. You know, if you can't get them into red, Carniv passive is not going to trigger, and the team dies. I mean, and it's always going to be that way with that type of passive. Next, Mystic.
Can you go to the boss star for bio? Real quick?
There we go. Yep.
You see the Black Knight. Now you might be thinking, I'm bringing Skrull into Black Knight. Orky, that's crazy. What are you talking about? This Black Knight is neutered, like the Black Knight on the Kiln Tower.
Okay.
So he doesn't spawn with defense up or immunity, and his passive hit doesn't put bleeds or trauma on you.
Okay.
Or so the boss node, you're gonna see, you're gonna freak out. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So this did not seem bad to me with even Bifrost. It was timing out, but it wasn't super terrible. Like, it felt mildly annoying. You know, I know a lot of people are subbing out Beta Ray Bill and doing Mephisto. Not a lot of people have Mephisto, but I think that might be a reasonable solution for a lot of people, is like, you know, just Bifrost with Mephisto and then go. What did you try? You did something else. You used Ares, right? Because the problem with these nodes is, the second node in particular is 3-piece annihilators when they're not getting the exposed, and Vol and friends are somewhat dependent on exposed, right? When that doesn't happen when there's 3 of them out there, and Gladiator on both of these nodes just does not die. Just stays there, and stays there, and stays there, and that has to do with Safeguard. So tell us about how Ares is going to be useful here.
Yeah, so I tried first with full Bifrost. I ended up, like, you know how you got stuck in like a hell loop on the second node of Tech?
Yeah.
I got stuck in a hell loop on the second node of Mystic, and I had to bring Deathpool in and just let her get charges so that she could eventually one-shot the Gladiator. So that's like how they countered Pegasus and Tech, was North Star giving the anti-speed bar. How they counter Bifrost is Gladiator, making so you don't get exposed, so you can't get all your energy back on Vol, but also that you have to hit these super tanks. Like Sasquatch on the first node is a nightmare. Then North Star drops in. He can one-shot a Mephisto.
North Star starts off with the node?
No, he starts second wave.
Sasquatch. Sasquatch starts off in the node, and he was the last character it killed, and it took 2 or 3 minutes on its own to kill him. Like, he just won't die because he's regenerating constantly on those counterattacks, kind of like Apocalypse does. It was a mess, but anyways.
Yes. So theoretically, now we haven't been able to test this because Ares on the play test hasn't been fixed. He is not taking Safeguard off of people on spawn. But when you do that, when he can do that, and Gladiator doesn't get Safeguard on spawn, and Sasquatch doesn't get Safeguard on spawn, well, we got this new super ultimate fun weapon called Ultimus. So if you go in with Ares and Ultimus, he should be able to delete these pre-taunting tanks, and then you just get to do whatever you want. And here's the cool thing. They decided to counter these nodes for Bifrost.
Yes.
They forgot this OG Scopely original character that is feeding tons of energy to you and feeding Mystic characters speed bar on spawn called Death Pool. So it's like Ares Ultimate's Death Pool if you have Mephisto, and then if you have Vol. I think Mystic is soft. I don't know how they're going to sell Night Stalkers unless they give us a new raid tier, or unless they backpedal and say, hey, Ares passive is actually not going to work outside.
It's like people forgot that Death Pool was raid. Remember in the season on Cosmic Crucible where raid bonuses were enabled and you could throw Death Pool on a Bifrost team, and it was like, holy moly, like everybody forgot that Death Pool has like all these crazy raid bonuses. So what's the team you're going to try right here?
So on my Mephisto account, I'll be doing Ares, Ultimus, Vol, Mephisto with Death Pool. And on the account that doesn't have Mephisto, I'll just sub him off for maybe like a Morgan Le Fay, maybe a Sylvie, because her turn meter rewind is still in play here because there's no North Star except on the second wave of the first node. So I really don't think Mystic's going to be a problem even at the higher difficulties.
Yeah. So and my takeaway after playing through this is that this was inconvenient, but I also had the sense of like what you're talking about, like we're going to figure it out. And I think that's okay, because if it progresses in a way that we think it is, we're going to get the tech solution, and then this is going to follow probably October, Halloween. I suspect that's the idea of entirely. That's what's been rumored anyway. So this doesn't bother me that much. I felt like this was going to be okay. And and when we were talking about this, I suspect that this is the first version of this raid, and they may hit us with another we'll talk about that at the very end. Let's talk about Mutant. I had zero problems with Mutant, none at all. Old Man Logan does his thing. It was fine.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, you can give Cyclops, I think you can give Cyclops up to 6,000% extra stats. He's not going to do the same controlling effects that Old Man Logan does. He doesn't have the stuns. He's not covering everybody in traumas and putting slow on everybody. Like, Old Man Logan really trivializes these nodes, which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah, this was, for me, with Old Man Logan, the absolute easiest one. So my prediction, we were talking about this a little bit, is that they're going to launch this. We're going to figure out a combination for Tech and Mystic that you and I didn't figure out already. I'm sure there's a best way of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the community is going to figure out it, and it's going to make it relatively easy. And then they're going to release the second version of this, and they'll keep the rewards similar, and they'll just add season points. So if you want to get on the leaderboard, if you're competitive on the leaderboard, you're going to want to play back. I mean, they could do that, right?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a raid on Orchis 2 rather quickly, because I think about the age of the Extreme X-Men team. I was worried that they were somehow going to be soloed out, and they've already showed, hey, North Star is definitely made for them, by the way.
Yeah. So
when they want to get rid of Extreme, we'll start seeing some North Stars on spawn.
Yeah. So, I do think that this is, well, I mean, because they want to sell us the teams, right? And this was designed to sell us only 2 teams. Well, let's see here. There you go. This was only designed to sell us Orchis and Night Stalkers, right? I mean, that's what it was designed for. I feel like there's going to be another version of this that will make Hive Mind Extreme and Spider Society not effective, and whatever the new team will be the effective version. I mean, that's just the logical progression of this game. That's just how they've always done it, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. Yeah. Okay.
That's the way all new raids are. Yeah. Hey, you want to talk about the boss now real quick? Because I think it's funny.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
So they showed us already how to counter speed bar on spawn. And this is basically a mirror of the Spotlight raid boss. So they put Skrull on it. So you use your Alpha Flight here. Okay. You use your Alpha Flight with Old Man Logan and Apocalypse instead of Guardian, and it's easy. So this boss node is actually easier to beat than the boss node on Incursion, which I thought was hilarious.
Really? Okay. So Alpha Flight just runs over there. Well, yeah. North Star doesn't even need a full team, but right?
Yeah, exactly. So I went North Star, Old Man Logan, Apocalypse with Sasquatch and Fireboy. And that's, again, no diamonds. Sunfire, thank you, Fireboy, whatever his name is. No diamonds and Teal gear. So like people are gonna have crimson on your old man Logan, you're gonna have diamonds on your Sunfire, your Apocalypse is gonna be both crimson and diamonds. Like the boss node is comically easy.
Right. All right, so this should be live today at server reset. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm not scared of this other than tech. That's the takeaway, right? I'm not scared of this. Tech is going to be annoying, but we'll probably get the team sooner than later. So that's what they're trying to do anyways. All right, bye for now.
Yep.